If you watch the channel closely, you may have noticed I switch between the Apple Watch Series 3 and the Garmin Forerunner 935 quite often. The Apple Watch itself is my daily lifestyle go-to watch. It's handy for notifications, phone calls, messages, and the best feature is it will unlock the Mac when I walk up to it, so that's pretty cool. So I use that pretty much for my daily. The 935 is the everything watch, or the everything else watch, with its Ant Plus, Bluetooth sensors, running, riding, you name it, multi-sport, and the battery lasts forever. But one thing I noticed early on when I got the Apple Watch Series 3 was the GPS tracking accuracy, or more in particular, the plotting of the GPS was kind of sloppy with this compared to this. And yes, I often run with both and then compare the data between the two just to see if there's any differences. And there was something very interesting that I found with the Apple Watch Series 3 in regards to that GPS tracking. GPS tracking and accuracy on sports devices is a very, very deep rabbit hole to go down. And typically we leave it up to this guy here. Ray's done a lot of work in this area. Anyway, backstory of what I was seeing. I've got a 7-kilometer loop here in Ballarat around Lake Wendouree. It's a pretty smooth loop, but if I was using my Apple Watch Series 3 with the activity recording app that's on here native, I'd get a different plot compared to the 935. Now, it wasn't the accuracy or the overall distance that was different, it's just the plot points were a little lazy or a little sloppy, or in race terminology, a little swooshy around corners. Now, okay, to be expected. We expect that. That's just how they operate compared to a multi-sport kick-ass watch, the 935. However, when I switched over to the Strava app on the Apple Watch, same hardware, and recorded the same run up against this, the plots were thicker. Well, the plots were a little better. It seemed to track where I was a little better. Well, technically, the overall distance and pace seemed to be okay, but the actual plot points were more accurate or more granular. This was the same hardware, just a different app. Very interesting stuff. Quickly pulling up the GPS plot of what I'm seeing here around our beautiful Lake Wendouree here in Ballarat. This is the 935 versus the Apple Watch native app. And you can see, particularly here, it just swooshes around the corner and misses the corner. And around the corner, it's just very, very smooth. Now it looks okay around the lake because the lake's pretty much a circle, but it doesn't really track one for one with the Forerunner. Jumping over to using the Strava app, and you can see here the plot is a lot more granular and it doesn't really skip the corners. Again, it's not one for one, but it's more representative of what I'd expect going around the lake and not smoothing everything out. So you can see there the two differences between the two apps. Interesting stuff. So I thought I'd enlist the help of someone else to just get another few data points on this one. Now, Des, Ray, and I were hanging out over at Reno Cross at Interbike, and I knew Des would be up for the test. Now, Des also has an Apple Watch Series 4 to do a few tests. So I've emailed Des saying, hey mate, can you double check what I'm seeing with this swooshing on the Apple Watch Series 4? And use the native app and use the Strava app and let us know your results. So here it is, over to Des to take us through the results of what he found for these tests.
What's going on, folks? I'm Des with DesFit, and first off, I do want to say thanks to GPLama for having me as a guest on his channel. All right, so I'm out here at a loop called Indian Summer here in Fort Collins, Colorado, and it's kind of a mixture of undulating terrain. There's lots of switchbacks, both up and down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first take the Apple Watch Series 4 and do a loop with the native workout app, and then I'm going to stop right here again, and then I'm going to start it again with the Strava app and see if there's going to be any differences in the GPS tracks. And I am also going to be comparing the data against a Forerunner 645 as well as a Garmin Edge 130. All right, first lap done. Forerunner 645, 2.73, Edge 130, 2.7, and Apple Watch 2.65. And again, this is with the native workout app. All right, so lap number 2. Forerunner 645 has 2.72 miles. The Edge 130 has 2.71, and Strava 2.7. All right, so I obviously can't look at the GPS tracks quite yet, but what we already do know is that the Apple Watch native app did undercut the distance just slightly. All right, so that was mountain biking, but let's slow things down a little bit, and we're gonna try walking and running next. All right, so now I'm in a big open field to test out the slow speed and medium speed while running GPS performance. Now, the reason I'm in a big open field is because I want to take out the variable of overhead obstructions in this GPS test. But for the first half of the test, I'm going to be doing some walking. I'm going to be making some 90-degree turns as well as some 30 and 45-degree turns. And then on the second half of the test, I'm going to actually do some running and do the same sort of turns just to see the different performance. And for this comparison, I'll be using the Fenix 5X, not the Plus version, the Suunto 9, as well as the Fenix 5 Plus Titanium, along with obviously the Apple Watch. So let's get running. And by the way, just for the best accuracy, I am going to be using the performance setting on the Suunto 9, which gives us the best GPS accuracy, as well as the 1-second recording intervals on the Garmin devices using GPS Plus GLONASS. All right, so lap 1 is done and everything clocked pretty darn closely. So the Fenix 5 Plus, 0.62 miles, the 5X, 0.63, 1 kilometer on the Suunto 9, which is exactly pretty much right. And then same thing for the Apple Watch. So that is good to go. And as you can see, I am not using this paired to my iPhone. This is in standalone mode. All right, so now we're going to try the Strava app out and we're going to see if I can repeat the same route. All right, so the second lap with using the Strava app on the Apple Watch Series 4. The other devices looks like I guessed pretty correctly on the route, but Fenix 5 Plus, 0.61, 5X, 0.62, and then right around a kilometer again on the Suunto 9, and then Apple Watch Series 4 with the Strava app, 0.6. So distance-wise, things seem pretty good, but we'll have to check out the actual GPS tracks and DC Rainmaker's analyzer tool. But now let's try one more test, and that's going to be high speed with road biking. All right, so now for some higher speed tests. So I'm going to start out on this bike path, and then it kind of loops around. I'm going to again try to make some sharp corners just to see if it's actually going to smooth the routes. Again, Bluetooth is off on my phone, so the Apple Watch is going to be using standalone GPS. And then today we're going to be using the 130, the 5X, as well as the Suunto 9. And the first thing we're going to do is test the native app, and then we'll test Strava right after that. All right, so stopping in the same place, looks like we have 2.33, 2.35, and 2.43. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and do that exact same path with the Strava app on the Apple Watch Series 4 and see what happens. All right, so second lap done. Looks like we have 2.33 miles on the Edge 130, 2.33 miles on the Fenix 5X, 3.78 kilometers. I cannot do the conversion in my head right now. And the Strava Apple Watch Series 4 app, 2.3. All right, so that's it for the testing. Let's head back to the, not Lama lab, but DesFit lab, I guess. And let's take a look at some of this data. All right, so we are back at headquarters and let's check out some data. So on all these examples, the Apple Watch GPS track is always going to be highlighted in red. And then this first test is the mountain bike test using the native workout app. So you can see that everything starts out good to go, but on this first turn, it smoothed out the track pretty considerably. And this trend definitely continues throughout the ride. And I was going about 10 to 13 miles per hour for these turns. Now, these switchbacks right here were going to be slower speed since I was actually climbing, and it was definitely good to go. But as we look at the backside as I was descending, going probably more like 20 miles an hour, it started to really smooth out the tracks pretty considerably. So now here's the map of the second test using the Strava app on the Apple Watch, and we can see a night and day difference compared to the native app. Although the track isn't perfect, it's going to be much more in line with the other test devices though. So now let's take a look at the slow speed test. So this is going to be the first one with the Apple Watch native workout app, and it did a much better job. It was pretty much spot on with both the first portion of this test where I was walking, and then it was even good to go when I started running. And then the Strava app laid down a pretty solid track just like the first example. So for slower speed activities, it should do a pretty good job unless you're running really fast. But now let's check out the high speed road test. So what we can see here is that it starts out okay, not great by any means, but as soon as there's going to be a more abrupt turn, it kind of just keeps on going in the same direction. It rounded out this corner quite a bit, and then here is the shocker. So when I rounded this corner, it kind of thought I went into traffic, and then it finally did catch back up after a little bit. And then what is interesting though is that I purposely did a very abrupt out and back right here, and it was perfectly fine, although I did slow down to about 3 to 4 miles an hour. And then coming back to the start, it was good, except again that we can see kind of overshoots this corner a bit, and then on this final sharp right-hand corner, it again kind of goes off into the sunset. And then if we look at the exact same route using the Strava app, you'll see that it's pretty darn close, although it does overshoot corners just slightly. So what did we learn from all this? Well, the native workout app on the Apple Watch Series 4, as well as the Series 3, because I did experience these same results last year, definitely likes to round corners quite a bit. And as DC Rainmaker likes to put it, just swoosh it. And we're still not exactly sure why this happens, but one theory is that Apple does like to make things a little bit prettier, so maybe they like smoother corners rather than sharper ones. Anyhow, again, I do want to thank Shane for having me as a guest on his channel. And if you are interested in the Apple Watch Series 4, I'm going to have an in-depth review coming out in the next couple of weeks. So pop on over there if you're interested in that. But in the meantime, I'm going to hand it over to you, Shane.
Brilliant stuff, Des. That was fantastic. That really backed up what I was seeing, but you took it to the next level, both on the bike, on foot, and with the Apple Watch Series 4, which I don't have. So thanks for double checking with that. So in a nutshell, what we're seeing is the recording refresh interval, or the recording intervals of the GPS on the Apple Watch native seems to be around, look, I'm guessing it's around 10 seconds. That's why it's missing those corners. Whereas if you use the Strava app on the Apple Watch for running, riding, or any activity, it's about 2 seconds. So it sort of matches a decent unit a little closer. If you're a multi-sport user, let me know what app you use on your Apple Watch, what the results are, and have you seen this kind of smoothing? If there's any techs out there who know the behind the scenes of what's going on in those recording intervals, do let us know, because it's very, very difficult to get any technical information about the apps and the recording. And I was surprised to see the battery demands were really no different between the two apps. The native app left me with 94% battery left after running from 100%, and the Strava app had 93%. So just 1% battery over 45 minutes for a lot more dot points recorded on the GPS track. That was interesting. So thanks to Des for being part of the Lama guest tech segment today and sending over those multiple data points, because more data is better. Head on over to Des's channel, hit subscribe, support what he's up to. Des is a total gear nerd like the rest of us, loves his watches, loves his bikes, so he'd appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back with more soon.